Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and today we're going to film part one of our, what should we call this? Maybe our Neocolor 2 alternative search, right? I love Neocolor 2s, and I personally feel they're worth the money because you will never have to replace them. I mean, unless you're using them literally every single day, the exact same color every single day. They're just one of those mediums that you just don't burn through it. So, but I've also been where the budget doesn't allow for it, period. So I thought I would explore some different alternatives. So I have purchased, I think 10, I know, I'm crazy, different versions of gel crayons. Now, I really am not diving into water-soluble oil pastels so much, but I am looking at, they're called gel crayons. This one's called a highlighter, but it's essentially a soft medium that's water-soluble that we could use like we do our Neocolor 2s for backgrounds and such. So this is going to be part one. This is the ultra budget set. Okay, so we're going to do Shuttle Art, the Zayar, Mr. Pen, and Ocbalis. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. But anyway, let's take a peek at these because these are our cheapest alternatives. Just a note before we start. There seems to have been some dust or something on my camera during the first segment, and it caused the focus to kind of go in and out, which is extremely annoying, and I was going to refilm, but then I reference back quite often during other segments, and I felt like if I take that piece out, some of the other things I say wouldn't really make sense. And quite honestly, I really don't want to refilm the entire video. So I went ahead and left it in. Just know that it doesn't do this throughout. And my sincerest apologies. Okay, first up is this one. It's the OUCBAILACE brand. Now this comes in a pack of 48 in this case. I am amazed. This is our cheapest brand. Now, caveat, I am sure that there are other brands out there. I could probably purchase 25 different ones. So this is not an all-inclusive list. But I thought I would, get at least 10 of them. So what's nice about this case is it does have the colors on the back. The case is lovely. It's like 9 by 13 by 1.5 inches maybe, something like that. So it's very portable and it's easy to store. And I absolutely love that. I wish they all came in these cases like this. So let's pop it open and take a look. So here are all of the colors. I think it does a decent job of giving us all the colors. Let me grab the swatch sheet. Okay, here it is. And I did try and put it in a little bit of a color order. Now, you all know I always hate like the samey colors, but these are 33 cents a piece. So this set was $15.99. And it is now, it was the end of March when I bought this. So end of March 2025, in case you're watching this in the future. But overall, I am pretty pleased. Actually, I don't even think I put them in any order. I just swatched them as they came. Now it says golden and silver. I don't see any metallic sheen to these at all. But it's still, 30 cents, 33 cents a pen, a crayon, and you get this nice case, right? So let's go ahead and dive into our test. So what I thought I would do is for each brand, I'm going to pick a yellow, a blue, let's go with this blue, let's go with this blue, and a pink, kind of like a fuchsia-y kind of pink. Should I go with this pink? Yeah, this one looks a little purpley to me. Okay, the idea being that when I blend these, we can see if we can come up with a nice, you know, color. So let's zoom in just a touch. So the things that I'm looking to test are blending them just with our finger, blending them with a water brush. We're going to look at the dry time. Like some of these dry almost immediately and you don't have a lot of work time. So we're going to look at that. The opacity here on the black. We're going to look at the palette. We kind of discussed that already. We're going to discuss if it's easy to write over them with colored pencil. Do they layer, and can we lift the color once it's in place? Okay, so let's start with just looking at the crayon itself. It is about 5 inches, 5 1/4, and it's about, let's do it in centimeters here, just over 1 centimeter in diameter, right? They have a clear lid. It twists up here from the bottom, right? Has a little bit of a taper to it when it comes out, and then kind of a flat top. So one of the things I'm going to be looking for is, are they crummy? Do we get a lot of, you know, puddles of, not puddles, glops of color, right? So first impressions, they go down very smooth. I did get a little, see how we got a little bit of crumbs here? But I noticed that when I went over it, it just picked it right back up. So we've got a little, let's make it a little bigger. Okay. We'll put our yellow. And our blue. Okay, so let's try blending those. And see what kind of colors we got. I'm going to get me a baby wipe. Seems to wipe off my finger pretty well. So they are kind of washable. Okay, so that's our blending. Now let's see what they do if we do the same thing. They're very creamy. And you can see they lay down a fair amount of, you know, pigment there. I like that they're very vibrant and bright. Okay, so let me grab my water brush. Okay, hopefully that didn't dry too much to move, because it took me a second to find my water brush. So I feel like we did get a mix of colors there. Okay, let's just see how they blend out when I don't give them any time to dry. Okay, we will look at opacity. Here's the blue, pink, yellow. I'm going to grab the white. Okay, so there's our opacity. I want to, I'm going to put this down here. We're going to let this one dry, and we'll come back to it. I want to try and blend these two right away, because I let that other one dry. You get a nice little coral kind of color, right? Now, one thing that I want to test is, can we layer these? So we'll try yellow first, and then we'll try pink. So pink over yellow, yellow over pink, and then what happens if we try and blend that? So we do get a little bit. Let's see if I smudge it in. So that made a very nice color. So if you put the light over the dark, I feel like we effectively blended. Here I feel like the pink kind of took over, right? So let's try our colored pencils. So here's a polychromos. I want to make sure it's dry. Now here I don't care. We can try it. We'll put, okay. Yeah. I mean, it writes over that really well. Here's a Prismacolor. Prismacolor does really well. We'll let these dry because it should go over the water one just fine. Let me try, we'll do this spot here to lift. And this one I'm going to activate. I think they activate really well. For this budget of a pen, or crayon, I keep calling them pens, but for this budget of a crayon, I'm very surprised that we don't have like harsh lines. Like, I feel like this blended out really, really well. Okay, let me get my stencil. And we'll put that over the top here. I just have a damp baby wipe. So you can see that we can lift it here, but can we lift it once it's activated? Okay, I did, but because it wasn't completely dry, because I'm an idiot, it harmed the paper. So we're going to let this piece dry really, really well, and then we'll try again. The last thing I want to test is, I swear I have this stuff out. Here it is. All right, let's grab our palette. Let's use that blue. Can we pick it up from the palette and apply it so it paints very well? Okay, let's try mixing. I just had a little pink on there. Just wipe it off on your baby wipe. Okay, let's try mixing on our palette. I think I got it a little too watery. I want to give it a fair test. These Artisas, they're good water pens. I don't like them quite as much as my Pentel. They just, I think they put out too much water, personally. Okay. I'm going to try that again with less water, just to see if we get a different green. Like, do we get a more intense green? Okay. A little less watered down. Yeah. Okay. So I think it mixes really well. I feel like the palette test worked well. I gotta say, I am super impressed so far with these, with our cheapest gel pens, right? There'll be a link to everything in the description box below. All right. One thing of note, no names or numbers on the pens themselves. So when I did my chart, I just use my number. I just number them 1 through whatever. And then what I do is I made up names. Or no, these I took the names from the back, right? Now, I had to make a judgment call which was apricot cream and which one was yellow. But it doesn't matter to me, because ultimately I will probably mark all these, because this is a set I think I would keep. I have been impressed with them, at least with initial laydowns. Now, you really don't know how they're going to work until you get them on, like, coloring book paper, right? And you try and use them in a real life situation, which is a little different from here. But let's just see as we go. Like, do they all perform this well? Do I think that these are as good as Neo Color 2s? No, I don't. One of the biggest things about Neo Color 2s is they are light fast-ish. This medium, as a medium, is kind of like markers. They're just, by nature, are not going to be as light fast. So, but they have undergone light fast testing, and as an artist, you can look at that and see whether or not it meets your standards. Now, obviously, these are not. I guarantee if I put these up in my window, within a week, they would be faded considerably. But that's okay. I'm using them in a coloring book, and I'm gonna shut the book. All right, let's move on to shuttle art. Now, shuttle art also has a 48 set in the, let me see, shuttle art. So the 24 set was $11.99, making it 50 cents a marker. The 48 case was 42 cents a marker. Oh, one thing to note on the last one, no open stock. There's no open stock on this one either. This one, the packaging for the 24 is horrendous. It is the worst packaging. So you can see right here, right? It's all flappy. This is very cheap, thin plastic. They only put the flap halfway up, which, you know, I get it. You want to be able to get them out. But at the same time, here's what happens. Do you see that? So the very first time I used these, did I fling them all over the floor? Yes, I did. It was extremely annoying. So, so there's that. So D- for packaging, Shuttle Art. They do have a yellow case, very similar to that other one. I only need so many of these pens though. So, these say Shuttle Art, super smooth, twistable, blendable, gel crayon. No name, no number. Let me get the terrible packaging again. No names or numbers on the packaging at all. Okay. It says bright colors, super smooth, blendable, great for kids. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same tests here as we did with the other ones. So let's, size-wise, yeah, they're pretty much essentially the same size. They twist up exactly the same way. So let's take a peek. I got the same colors out here. Okay, so we're going to do our pink. They feel similar to me. Maybe, if I had to say, I would say maybe a touch harder. Okay, a lot more crumbs. I expect a little bit, especially at this price point. Okay, so let's try, we're going to try blending there. These feel harder to me to blend, to move them, right? They didn't move quite as well. You can see I didn't get nearly as far in. Okay, this one we're going to do the exact same thing with water. Okay, these seem a lot crummier to me than the other brand. Do you see how they just, every stroke like flakes off? And I'm trying to pick it up, but every single stroke has those. That would really bother me when I'm working. Okay. So we're getting a color. We're getting that corally color. But do you see this big chunk right here of yellow? Like, but I definitely got a green. So they definitely blend. Let's try. So they spread out pretty well. Okay, let's try. What do we do here? Did we just try? Oh, because I waited too long. Okay, let's try our layering. So we're going to go, that one was pink first, and then yellow. So I don't feel like we got as good a blend there. Not at all. Okay, let's try it the other way. Now this one did better This one did a lot better when I went dark over light, whereas this one was better when I went light over dark. Could it be just the two colors? Possibly. Okay, so we're going to try our lift technique here. Okay, so it definitely lifts there. I don't feel like these blend as nicely. We'll let that dry. Is this one dry? Let's try our lift technique here. So once they're dry, they don't lift as well. You can get a little lift, but you got to be cautious, because in trying to do so, you may harm the paper. Okay, so opacity, I would say they're slightly more opaque, but nominally. Let's try our palette. I just feel like they're so much more crummy. Like, do you see how it's just leaving stuff? So we get a nice blend doing it that way. Okay. Let's try writing. Here's Prisma. I don't think it writes quite as well. Do you see the difference? How much this is more muted? You know, I feel like that's closer, whereas this kind of picked up the yellow and almost made this more of a green. Even this one that's more green. I just feel like we lost some value there. So overall, I don't think they're quite as good as these, believe it or not. Of the two, I would probably lean towards these. I will say maybe packaging threw me off because I was so annoyed. I had to go pick all that up. But do I think you were doing wrong to get these? No. I think for the money, 42 cents a crayon, they're just fine. Before I go, here is your palette. I created my own names and obviously just put them in color family order. I do feel like it's a really nice palette in terms of, you know, you got all the colors, right? Light, medium, dark blue. You have a light, medium, dark green. You got a couple of browns, a few yellow, oranges, and reds. Overall, I give their palette an A+. So, those are my thoughts on the shuttle art. Okay, next up is these Zayar gel highlighters. Now, I chose these simply for their palette. So let's grab the palette and take a look. All of the gel crayons we have looked at have this punchy, vibrant, kid light colors, right? And don't get me wrong, I love me some bright colors, but look at these beautiful pastels. These kind of light, like a touch moody kind of colors. I thought it really stood out in terms of being different from what you see on the market. Hold on, Ellie needs up. Okay, Her Highness is situated. So, let's take a peek. Let's open these up. And this is what I did. I numbered them on, I put a 1/4 inch dot on the base of these. Okay? And so, let's pull out number, we're not going to be able to do exactly the same test maybe. I don't know. Let's see. We'll pull out 8. This blue, or this blue. Yeah, this blue. 20. 20. Where are you? There you are. 20 was hiding from me. And a yellow. I guess the closest we're going to, maybe 2. Okay. That is very orange. I almost think I should go with 16. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If we make mud, we make mud. Okay, I forgot to mark it here because I want to test when I'm all done with everything if these still continue to be water soluble or if they dry. So I'm kind of testing work time on that. Let's back you out just a touch. Okay, so how much do these cost? These are 24 gel crayons for $16.99. So they were 71 cents each. So they are pricier. So let's start with looking at the pen. So the pen says Zayar Gel Highlighter for Bible. No bleeding. Recap after use. Keep out of sunlight and high temperature. And they twist. I will say they twist easier. Those others, it's not that they were hard, but there was some resistance. It's just does it make a hill of beans a difference? Not really, but it was noticeable to me. Okay. Let's turn it up just a little. Yeah, this is definitely more of an orange. So, we will try and... These blend nicely. Like, they feel creamy to me. Do you see how far I was able to pull the two colors into each other? Let's do that here with the blue. These feel firmer. They're not hard by any means. They're creamy, but they like, I don't feel like I'm gonna smoosh them into the page, right? Okay. So they move. Those two colors didn't blend super beautifully. So let's see what they do if we try and do water soluble. Okay, this is probably going to make a brown color. I mean, it definitely mixed. And it leans towards the green. Let's try our blue. And let's just try to move it on its own. They dissolve nicely. I don't have any hard marks where I pushed it onto the paper. This is Nina 60 or 90 pound, so it's not the heavier cardstock, but let's see. So we did the blends. We're gonna try our layering. So we're gonna go orange, pink, pink over the orange, orange over the pink. So here's our orange for comparison. Here's our pink. Okay, so let's try blending them. These feel really smooth under my, like on my finger. I mean, we've got a subtle change, but these are kind of subtle. Let's look at our palette here. I just want to give them a fair test. Let's do something like this one. Let's do like maybe these two, 17 and 19. Personally, the way I use these, like to blend, is I just blend part of it, right? If I was doing this on a page, oh yeah, see, I wouldn't necessarily just cover the top like that. I would put it beside it, but for testing purposes. I do feel like that changed that color. Definitely changed that color. So I do feel like they blend. You just have to get good, like there's that color. Here's this color. Opacity wise, so far they're pretty opaque. Little crumbs on that one. Okay. All right, let's try our lifting. They lift very nice. This has been the best yet as far as lifting there. Wipe your brush off, Wendy. Okay, we'll let that one dry. We're gonna put our dot down here. Okay, let's try our palette. Let's see if we get that same color if we mix those two on our palette. So it dissolved nicely. We got a nice green. So I feel like the palette worked. I think that's a good method to go. Okay. Let's write on this one. So, okay. That's Prisma and Polychromos. I think they both write really well. I didn't have any problem with that. Opacity is good. I think it's probably the most opaque. Okay, so that is the Zayar. Did I cover everything? I think so. Okay, for our final test, we're going to be using the Mr. Pen 20 gel crayons. Now, Mr. Pen is a very reputable company, and they have a very good customer service and return policy. These are a lot like the shuttle art in that they don't have names or numbers. Well, none of them had names or numbers, but not even on the back. So this packaging, much thicker plastic. You can see it really holds up, like it's not bowing or doing anything crazy, right? Let's see what they sent us in the bag here. It says, sometimes I can melt in excess heat. If this happens, please contact Mr. Pen. They'll send you another one. So I have found that they've always had really good customer service. And I love that they send the mustache, right? I have a magnetic mustache. This one's just a paper one, so I don't know if you buy pricier stuff, they give you the other ones. I've had stickers. That one just seems to be paper. But what do you expect for this price point? So this, speaking of price, you can buy these in a 12 set for $6.99 or 20 set for $9.85. No open stock. This puts them at 58 cents and 49 cents. So technically it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is our third cheapest. Okay, so let's pull out a blue. We'll pull out a pink. We'll pull out yellow and the whites. Okay. Did I show you the palette? Oh, it all blends together. So we have lemon and then we have yellow. Yeah, good. I picked the yellow because this seems very translucent and it's very fluorescent. It's almost like a highlighter. So it would work as a highlighter. Oh yeah, I've got numbers on these. I just put the numbers on the side. And overall, for 20, I think it does pretty well. It's got black, gray, green, blue, purple, reds. It even has a flesh tone. So as far as the palette, for the small amount of pen or crayons that we have, I think they did a really good job. Okay, so let's put them through their paces. So let's look at the pen. Could I say pen one more time? Okay, same size as all the other ones. Okay, they're all about the same so far. Oh, did we look at the Zayar? I don't think I measured them. Let's just be clear. So, about the same, a little thicker, like in diameter. At the end, I'm going to put them all side by side and let you see them. So make sure to hit the subscribe bell so that you're there for that video, for the final showdown. Okay, so we got our yellow. Wendy, don't put them in the wrong order. Pink and blue. I really like how these feel going down. They're not too firm and they're not too smushy. I think that they made really nice colors together too. Okay, so let's try doing that with water. Make these a little bigger this time. And if you notice, see, I got the crumbs here, but they're not like, you can just see that this one just flaked way more. And I'm laying down pink, as I say that as I laid down a lot. But they seem to pick back up on the pen. I don't know. Very subjective, I guess. So far, I feel like these have been the easiest to blend out. Like I feel like there I felt like I really had to struggle. These just seem to blend very nicely together. So let's see how they okay, let's see. Well, see how those crumbs just pick up very easily? I don't like that it crumbs, but I do like that it picks it up easily. Okay, wipe off my brush. I feel like these leave, see if I pull this out a little bit. Yeah. They do okay dissolving. I feel like there's a little bit of a square there though. I guess there is with this one too. All right. Let's try our layering. So we've got our yellow. Let's see, we did pink with the other one. So pink, yeah. Gotta be careful about the crumbs with this one too. All right, pink. Ooh, that made, look, I didn't even have to do anything and it blended beautifully. Oh, same with that one. Okay. These are the best blenders so far. And you get, depending on which one you put down first, it does change the color. I feel like I'm getting a little staining on my fingers. Do I care? No, but it's just something to notice. All right, let's try our lift technique. So that time I kind of brushed off all the big chunky crumbs on that we had on this, and now it seems to be doing fine. Let's try to remove. Okay, so it lifted, but you saw I definitely had to lift more than I did before. Let's get our blue. We'll get our spot drying. So if you get big chunks, just, I guess, wipe them off and start over. All right, so opacity. I don't know, these are, they have some crumbs to them for sure. And then white. Okay, let's try our palette. I feel like the palette's probably going to work with all of them, but those chunks, though, kind of hard to dissolve, these big chunks. But we did get a nice color. Okay. Let's try writing on I feel like they wrote fine. Not quite as good as here or here, maybe. I don't know. This is the only one where I really felt like it didn't write well. Okay. So let's look at our little chart here. Okay. I have broken this down into each of the names of the gel crayons that we're testing. I've written down the price, the palette, the dissolvability, work time, do they layer, do they lift, how easy or hard is it to write on them with colored pencil, can we blend them, are they open stock, what is the packaging like, what is the appearance of the pen like, meaning does it have a name, does it have a number, that kind of thing. And then I've left one blank in case we think of something else, and then there'll be an overall score. We'll just add them up. This is how I've chosen to break them down. So we have 5 is going to be close to perfect, 4 is very good, 3 is good, 2 is fair, and 1 is poor. So let's start off with the OBL, I don't know, we'll call it the O ones. That sounds bad. We're not going to call it the O crayon. We don't want to get bad ratings on the channel. Okay, so here is the palette. Now, for me, I would put this in the, I would give it a solid 3.5 because I do feel like they did represent a lot of the colors. I would have liked to see a little more variance. We've got quite a few yellow orange type of colors. And these grays are very similar. I'm not sure the point of this golden. It's yet another yellow. But I do like that, you know, it's got some flesh tones. You know, it's not bad. So we're going to give it maybe I'm just going to give it a 3 for simple math. How did they dissolve? I felt like these dissolved very well, especially given their price point. If you look at all of these, there's only this one that I see the marks in, right? Should I get in camera? Very helpful. So that tells me that it can happen. You just have to be a little more careful. But I'm going to give it a 4 because it's not close to perfect, but it's actually very good. Make sure to put it in the right column. Okay, we're gonna do work time. I got to thinking it's not really fair that I tested all the work times when this one is obviously way longer on the paper than this one. So I'm going to test that all at the very end for every single one of them at a time. Did they layer? I thought that they layered pretty fair because we got 2 distinct colors. Now, the one thing I will note is that Mr. Pen got a fairly consistent color regardless of the order. Order does make a difference, but it wasn't like it produced a completely different color, which tells me that the strength of these is not equal. So that can be a good and a bad thing, right? But it's hard to tell when they don't have equal stress. If they're equal in strength, you can say, well, I want this color to be lighter, so I'm going to put more yellow in it. But if the strength is unequal, it may take 4 times as much yellow to get the color you're looking for, whereas in another one, it only takes 50-50 or 1/3 or something like that. Am I making sense? Undoubtedly no, but I hope that that makes sense to you. I do feel like we have a little of that going on here. So, you know, I think that they layer. I'm going to give them a 3 because it's good. Do they lift? I felt like they lifted well, so I'm going to give it a 4 there. I'm going to give it a 4 for the ability to write on. Overall, I think that they blended just fine in our tests, so we're going to give it, do we want a good? I'm going to put it at a 3. It's such a judgment call on this stuff, right? Open stock, no open stock. So this is going to be a 0.5 kind of thing. And then packaging, definitely a 5. I love it so much. As far as appearance, they don't have a name or a number. So, but we didn't test whether the color matched the pen. Should we do that? Okay, I did that off camera. Personally, I am going to give them, I'm going to give them a 3, simply because there's no name and number on them, but they work nice. They felt good in the hand. The colors matched the swatch pretty well. I mean, when you look in the box, there are like similar colors, right? Similar pens, like you look at them and you're like, okay, which one is which? But if you look on them on the swatch, they're similar there too. So I do feel like overall they're pretty decent. It wasn't wildly off. Could they have tweaked it and made it better? Yes, that's why we're not picking a 5. Okay, so I'm going to wait for the overall score until we're done. And so let's move on to shuttle art. I hate that my videos are always so long, but I can't help myself. Okay, next up is shuttle art. Now, shuttle art, I felt like had a really good palette. And I was like, oh, I love this palette. The only thing is now seeing the Mr. Pen palette, I really like this flesh color in the, that could make this palette perfect, but I am going to give it a very good for palette. Their dissolvability, however, I didn't feel was as good. I felt like there was quite a few instances, well, like here, I knew there was a couple, and here, I don't know, I just felt like it wasn't great, so I'm going to give them a 3 here. As far as layering, I didn't love how they layered. I'm going to give them a 2. They lifted well, so we'll give them a 4. The writing, it was okay. You could write on it, but not great. Blendability, I do feel like you got good colors, so we're going to give them a 4. And as far as appearance, very similar to the shuttle art. I feel like we're going to ding them because they don't have names and numbers. They even have less because they don't have names and numbers on. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to give them a 2 because they don't even have names on the box, right? Which all the other colors did. So there's that. And their packaging, if I could give them a 0, I would. Horrendous. Okay, next up is the Zayar. Now the palette, we're going to put a big asterisk here because the palette is so different. It's hard for me to say, oh, this is a perfect palette. Is it a perfect palette for coloring? No. Could you get these and add them to other pens? Yes. So I think in fairness, we've got to go with a 3. Their dissolvability, I felt like, was very good. I didn't have much of a trouble at all with that. Their ability to layer was it was decent. We're going to go with a 3. They lifted beautifully. Their writing was good. Their blending, I think, was better than some of the others. They came in a box, which I'm just going to mark as okay because, you know, it's a box. Is it a really heavy-duty hardwood box? Or, like, not hardwood, but you know what I mean. Hard cardboard? No. It's flimsier cardboard, but it is a box. And their appearance, they did not have their name and number. Just double checking myself here. So, I'm going to give them the same rating here as these because these didn't have the names even on the box. These did. But it was hard to tell which one was which, so I didn't put their names on there. They have the names on the box. But how do you tell which one of these is Orchid? Right? So, you know, it is what it is. All right, next up is Mr. Pen. Their palette, let's look at their palette. This is a personal preference thing too, because you can only do so much with 20. I felt like they did a pretty decent job. My only complaint was, why do we have a highlighter in here? That's kind of weird. I do like that they have the flesh tone. I would have liked to see, what would I have liked to see? Maybe a lighter pink would be nice. Maybe a bigger variance between dark blue and light blue. Like maybe have this be on par with the purple, like a dark blue. Am I nitpicking? Yeah. I am going to give them, a 4 because there's only so much you can do with 20. They dissolved fair. We have a little bit of the square showing up here, but in other areas we didn't. You can see it a little bit here as well. So I'm going to give them a 3 because I thought it was good, but not great. Layering, I felt like they did really well with layering. And I like that while we get different colors here, they're not wildly different. Their lifting wasn't as good. Their writing was good. Their blending, I thought was good. I feel like we got a good working on that. No open stock. As far as a box, they're in good plastic. Not quite as good as a box. But it's actually, I'm going to put it at a 3 because you know what? That plastic, it held up. like you can hold it just with one hand and it's not flexing all over. There's actually a little see the little slot right here for the pen to like slide into, which keeps them from like rotating. So I feel like that's really good. Is it as good as a case? No. But I think it's a borderline 4. But as far as appearance, we're gonna have to go with the same, you know, it has colors, but on the packaging, not on the pen, not on the number. I just feel like I can't go over the 3 on that. So once again, we're going to wait on our overall score till the showdown. Thank you for watching another video from Jazzydoodledesigns. If you'd like even more Jazzydoodle and a little more snark, please check out the membership below. If you're looking for a community where you can share your work and chat with other fellow colorists in a safe and welcoming environment, hit the subscribe button to Jazzydoodledesigns and then look for Jazzydoodledesigns Coloring Community on Facebook. And there you can join a group of fellow colorists to talk all things coloring and share cute pet pictures. I hope to see you there, and until next time, happy coloring.